blustery, windy, cold day here with no snow. It's very sad. So, got my 2010 Turbo Snow Pro. So this thing's been in storage for close to 5 years, so we're gonna have to do some major servicing on this thing. I don't know how much gas is in it, hopefully not much, because it's all gonna need to be drained. And then I picked this little 500 Formula Deluxe. It's a 98. Picked it up for, it was like 200 and something bucks. Kid sled. Destroyed, as you can see. But the motor is decent, other than I think one piston's a little scuffed. You can see there's not much good body stuff on it. It's pretty rough. Every piece of body work is broken on it. So he did say the skis are fairly new, which I'm really not a fan of these Camoplast blow molded skis. They're like rock hard, like steel skis with no flex to them. So I mean, they're okay for kids, I guess, but they're not something I like. And the Formula SLS that we just picked up is the same, has those same skis. I don't think it has the wide ones like this. I think it's just the narrow ones. So these could have came on like the Ski-doo Tundras in the rev style. So like, you know, 05 and up. But it's got a trailing arm, which the trailing arm on the SLS is all rotted there. We now have reverse for the SLS. So between the motor being, you know, salvageable and getting reverse and getting electric start with this sled, I think it was a good deal, because now we're going to be able to put all that stuff on the other sled. The other sled, the body is, you know, it's in immaculate shape other than the seat. The seat's way worse, so we're not going to be able to use anything from that. But gaining electric start, reverse, and a motor that has rave valves. Now, being this is a 98, this is the first year the 500 came with raves, which are exhaust valves for people who don't know what a rave valve is. The 96, 97 500s didn't have raves. So, I mean, there's a bit of controversy. Some people say it's better to not have them. Some people say it's better to have them. I mean, all the manufacturers went with exhaust valves for a reason. A bit better throttle response on the lower end. So, I decided if I'm going to be putting those cylinders on for his, or I might keep this and do a motor build. Something a little wild for some radar runs and drags in the 500 class. So, but yeah, new project sleds. We're gonna get these unloaded. Brought my sled lift down, which I've been greatly missing that, and my stool. I'm sick of sitting on pails upside down. So, but yeah, so we're gonna get working on that and get these toolboxes unloaded and get everything into the shop and continue on this project. Alright, so while I was away up in Canada there, I've got some parts that I ordered. Found some stuff on eBay for the James Bond sled. I'm going to do a short video series on that with what's in this box. I have one more part I'm waiting on, so I'm not going to reveal what that is quite yet. But this is one of the things I've been really waiting on. So this is a good cylinder, 500 cylinder. And the piston's actually in good shape too. So we're gonna hone this out, put the rings in there and check the end cap, make sure everything's good on it. But I mean, it looks good. It's just for my son. It's really for this cheap project that we're trying to do. This budget SLS here. So we have one good cylinder here, but this one is, it's not that it's not usable, but it really needs to be bored over. So, and I don't want to get into boring these things. So I picked this cylinder and piston up used on eBay. I think it was for like $100, maybe just more, a little bit more than that. I can't remember. But I mean, I think that was a good deal for what that is. So I brought my puller down. Since this Amazon one doesn't fit, I tried to jerry rig it, couldn't get it to work. I'm gonna eventually, get a plate made that goes over top of this that will accept these bolt patterns. But for now, I'm just gonna use my flywheel puller, or harmonic balancer puller. So now that I have my toolbox here, I have that with me so I can get that off when we finally get this case split. See if this crank is any good or not. If it's not, which I'm assuming it's not, I have the 98 Formula 500 Deluxe out there. We're going to use the bottom end on. I don't know if I'm going to use just the crank out of it or the whole bottom end. I already gasket set complete, so even if I use that 500 bottom end, it's in that 98. We're putting new seals in it, taking it right down, checking that crank over. So that's kind of where we're at with that now, and yeah, still in the beginning of January, still no snow. Even when I was up in Canada, Ontario has hardly any snow. You got to go way up north to get to trails that are open. Where I was in Parry Sound, they had about 4 feet of snow around Christmas time. Just after New Year's there, they lost almost everything. So maybe a foot at the best in the bush. But lakes are not safe. Trails are not open. And they don't have any snow in the forecast anytime soon. So it's not looking like a good year for riding, at least around these parts. Hopefully that'll change, by the end of the month. Gives us time to get working on all these sleds, get them all ready for the end of the month. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to be doing much to the T-cap anytime soon. Got to get that turbo in here and get going through it. So we got the rev to do kind of pre-seasons on, do a once over. I think the rear shock is shot on that. So I got to get that out. I want to upgrade that to an X package. It's a 2-inch body instead of that 1.5 inches. I rebuilt that one last year because it was shot. I got 1300K on her, and it shot again. So, and all I did was I just did oil and nitrogen. I didn't change any seals, so I'm not surprised that it's gone again. I'm happy I got all season out of it, 1300K on it. But I prefer the X package for my weight and my riding style. But I even have a 440 shock that I might throw in there. Toying with that idea. So anyways, undecided yet on that, but definitely have to address that. And then I'm got a little secret project, which is what those parts are over there, to do something with all these bars. So then we got to get this motor swapped out, go through the clutches, the carbs on this thing, the fuel system, go through the suspension, kind of take both those sleds and make a good one out of it. And that'll be my son's rider for this year. And then the turbo. So we got lots of stuff to do before the end of the month. Hoping to do a trip up to the UP. Wife wants to go up to Taquamina Falls there. So she's never been. She's lived in Michigan her whole life and never been up there. So it's all new to me. I'm excited. Well, she's finally off. Oh my word, was that ever stuck. So you can see a ridge of rust on there. But yeah, I pulled out the flywheel puller. So this is, I got this at Harbor Freight's Pittsburgh. So that's it right there. But yeah, I just used some cylinder bolts. 3 of them. It's the same thread into the flywheel. Right out of the cylinder here. So I was using these ones here that came with it. And by the time I got them in, you want to be in about 5 threads or so just to get into the threads here so you don't pull them out. But it didn't leave me with a lot left in here. So I tried pulling on it, and then it started to strip the threads inside the puller here. So I stopped before I damaged it too much. And I put these longer ones on, flipped this around, cut some threads back into it with this. It was working good, so poured the heat to her and just got the breaker bar out, put on the floor, stepped on the one motor mount, held the wood down in there so it wouldn't rotate, and put all my weight on the breaker bar, and then she finally just popped right off. But oh my word, was that stuck on. It's probably one of the worst ones I've ever done, and I've done hundreds. So now, had I had a impact gun with a air compressor, maybe it would have popped easier, but I don't have an air compressor right now, so we work with what we have, and yeah, it's finally off. So now I can get down to taking the stator out, get the engine mount plate off, split this case, and inspect this crank. So I'm going to get that all torn down, and then I'll bring you guys back once I'm down to the bare crank. Okay, so case is split. It's been a while since I've done one of these rotaries in a snowmobile. It's probably 20 years or so. Forgot about this. I was trying to split the case and the mag side wouldn't come loose, so didn't force it because I figured something was still hanging up. So I looked inside there, and these bolts here on this seal plate were what was holding everything up. So just remember, when you're taking a motor apart, if you've never done one before, if it's a different motor than you've ever done, just take your time. Don't be reefing on things, because that's how you break stuff. Just be taking lots of pictures, and so you know how things go back together, and just be careful with everything that you're doing. So the rotary shaft gear looks to be okay. Shaft looks straight, nothing's bent. So I'm going to obviously the gasket kit comes with new rotary shaft seal here and a water pump seal, so we're going to be changing those out. So let's just go through the crank here. So a little noisy. Ooh, yeah, that one's toast. Oh, that one's toast. And that one's pretty. That's bad too. So obviously, as we figured, the PTO side, which was the side that the water was in, you hear that? But this one, oh, she's bad. And this one here, bad. These ones, not too bad. Pretty quiet. And that's pretty typical. I mean, sometimes you get them quieter than that, but I mean, I would run bearings like that all day long. Just richen the oil pump up just the hair. So this side, I mean, it's not bad, but this side is definitely toast. Can't run that at all. This motor will not last, and then it'll end up most likely punching a hole in the cases, so the whole bottom end will be garbage. So we have that 98 Formula 500 Deluxe, so we're going to be using the bottom end on that. I mean, we're going to be taking it apart to do seals, so hopefully we find that crank is okay. But it's got to be better than this, that's for sure. So we might do a rebuild video on this. Show you guys how to rebuild a rotary crank. So anyways, that's as far as I'm going to go for this right now. And yeah, so I guess the next step, now that we know this is a bad crank, is to get the 98 motor out and torn down, so we can try to, you know, make one good motor out of everything we have here. So, well, that's going to be another video. So thanks for watching. As I figured, this crank was no good. It's pretty rare that, you know, something seized up like it is, that's full of water, is going to be good. and I wasn't holding my breath on this thing. And obviously I was right. So